If you're in the planning process to purchase a house or a condominium in Toronto, you want to avoid any surprises around closing with regards to total closing costs. And I summarize total closing costs as everything that you're going to pay for to move from your current home to your new home. Keep track of all these items and all these expenses, and updating them in a spreadsheet as you go is the best approach to being prepared. Note that estimated costs that are stated throughout this video are based on the year 2018, should you be happy to watch this a little later. But there's a lot to cover here, so let's get started. Hi, I'm Jerry Chopik. I'm a licensed realtor in Ontario with Right at Home Realty, the #1 brokerage in the GTA since 2013 and the largest independent brokerage in Canada. I'm a member of the Canadian Real Estate Association, the Real Estate Council of Ontario, and the Toronto Real Estate Board. This video is part of my educational series on realhelpfulrealestate.com and torontocondo.ca. For the record, I am not a lawyer. This information is provided free of charge for educational purposes only and is not to be interpreted as legal advice. There's a lot to be covered, so let's delve into today's topic, the most common and the most important closing costs to factor in when you're buying a home. Now, every situation is unique, and so you might have additional expenses to include in your transaction, but this list should cover most, if not all, of the costs for you as a buyer of a property within the GTA. I'm going to categorize these costs in the following categories: pre-closing, on-closing, and post-closing categories. The main pre-closing cost is the deposit that you will include with your accepted agreement of purchase and sale. This is made out to the listing brokerage and it is kept in trust until the day of closing. There's no specific rule about the amount of the deposit, but 5% of the purchase price has pretty much become the norm. They could ask for something different. They could ask for more, for example. This amount must be provided to the listing brokerage within 24 hours of your offer being accepted and is typically requested in the form of a certified check or a bank draft. Prior to closing, you might also have to pay for a home inspection fee, which is usually a condition included by a buyer in the agreement of purchase and sale. This is typically a wise investment, especially on an older home. The costs can run $400 to $700 or so in the GTA. If there are issues with the inspection, the results of the inspection report can sometimes require that, or be used to require that the seller conduct some repairs before the actual closing. And there have been occasions too where the report has been used to reduce the purchase price because of remediation that had to take place. Another important inspection that I strongly suggest for buyers considering older homes in downtown Toronto is a termite inspection. Termites are very common in many areas in the city, and you definitely want to know in advance if this is something that you're going to have to contend with later. Inspection fees are approximately $200 to $300 and includes a findings report and a detailed list of suggested remediation if it's required. And remedial costs vary, of course, depending upon the work required, but certainly can be in the $2,000 plus category. The majority of your closing costs occur on closing day itself. Likely the largest cash payout you will be making will be the down payment portion of the balance of the purchase price. This is the purchase price less the deposit you provided previously, less the mortgage amount that is going to be extended or loaned to you. There are, of course, then also your legal fees for handling the purchase and the registration of you on title to obtain the deed to the property. For condominiums, this would also include a review of the status certificate by your lawyer and providing you advice accordingly. Are there any issues that you have to be aware of with regards to the condo? Legal fees vary according to the purchase price and with the amount of work that a lawyer has to do to get this done for you prior to closing day. As an example, if there are complications in obtaining clear title in the weeks prior to closing, then this would result in additional costs. You're not going to know that in advance. As a ballpark for budgeting purposes, you should estimate $1,500 to $1,800 for your legal fees. If it's less, you have a surplus. Since you're going to need a real estate lawyer soon anyway, now might be a good time to find one and to get a quote for fees at the same time. Title insurance is an insurance policy that protects you, the homeowner, against challenges to the ownership of your home or from problems related to the title to your home. Acquiring title insurance is now pretty much the norm during the purchase of a home and can sometimes be included in your legal fees as well, through your lawyer. Budget $250 to $400 for your title insurance. If you're working with a mortgage broker, then they receive a commission for identifying a lender for you and for arranging for your financing. The commission is usually paid by the lender, but depending upon the arrangements, there could be a fee involved to you, the mortgagor. The amount varies according to the size of the mortgage. As an example, if you're acquiring funds from an A lender, typically one of the big banks, then the bank will pay the mortgage broker's commission. But B-level lenders and credit unions, they might pay half of the commission, in which case the borrower, yourself, would pay the other half of the commission. Private lenders typically invoice their fee directly to the borrower, or they might incorporate that fee into the proceeds that they extend to you. A property survey is sometimes required depending on the lender, and especially if there are any issues regarding placement of fences or buildings on the land. This is not an issue for condos at all, but for houses. And should you require a property survey, you need to budget between $2,000 and $3,000. Closing day also means settlement day for adjustments for any expenses paid in advance by the seller that are actually your responsibility. These could include, utilities and condo fees that were paid for, let's say, some months in advance. In short, a calculation is done for each of these to establish what amount you need to credit back to the seller, or perhaps in some cases, the seller needs to credit to you. If your down payment is less than 20% of the purchase price, then you are required to obtain CMHC insurance. If you're in this category and want an estimate of what this premium would be, you'll find a simple calculator on my website at realhelpfulrealestate.com. Just click mortgages and you'll see it listed right there. A Terrian warranty fee applies to all new construction condos and new houses. This fee does not apply to property resales because they don't have a Terrian warranty. Some builders will include the Terrian warranty enrollment fee in the purchase price of the home, while others will show it as an item on the statement of adjustments on closing. Fees vary according to the price of the home, and your builder will give you the details on the cost and when and where it will be applied. But you have to budget this in for all new homes. These next 4 points have to do with various taxes that might be applicable. If you purchase chattels on the property, this is additional furniture or equipment, beyond the purchase price of the home itself, from the vendor, then there might be provincial taxes applicable to those items at the current rate of 8%. This rate could, of course, change. And HST is generally only applicable to new construction condos and houses. So if you're purchasing a new build, you need to include the HST in your closing costs as well, currently 13%. And then there's the Ontario Land Transfer Tax, which depends upon the purchase price. To make this simple for you to calculate, you can enter the amount into the Land Transfer Tax calculator on my website at realhelpfulrealestate.com, again under mortgages, and it will give you the amount there. If you're purchasing a property in Toronto, then there is a Toronto Land Transfer Tax, which is applicable as well. And when you're there in the calculator, you can just check the box that's indicating that you're purchasing a Toronto property, and it will also do the calculation for you and give you both provincial and municipal tax amounts. Now, having said all that, there may be for you some credits or tax rebates available. There is the Ontario HST rebate available, and there is also the Ontario First-Time Buyers Tax Credit. So you want to look into those to see whether in fact you can bring those taxes down on your purchase. It's important to not overlook your after closing costs as well, because these are also expenses that you have to budget for. Moving expenses will depend upon how much you have to move and sometimes when you choose to move. Moving midweek or mid-month might be less expensive for you, so it's worth looking into. You'll need to contact a few movers with a summary of what you need to move in order to get a few estimates. And you'll likely have a number of utility connection charges to be covered as well, such as hydro, gas, water, perhaps phone. For GTA houses, you'll also need to include garbage removal fees. Rates vary according to the size of the garbage bin that you choose, but they run from about $250 to $500 a year. You can check toronto.ca for specs and for pricing. Based upon your home inspection report, if there were any immediate repairs that needed to be addressed, you'll need to budget those in as a post-closing cost as well. And last on our list, the cost of any redecorating or renovations that you plan on undertaking, once you take possession of the home, also to be factored in. So, lots of items and potentially lots of costs to be addressed just prior to, during, and shortly after closing. These are the main ones, but of course, every purchase is different, and you might have additional costs, specific to your purchase. Be sure to include them on the spreadsheet so that they remain top of mind as you go through the process. Keep your spreadsheet up to date so you have all the necessary funds available and that there are no last-minute surprises. I do my best to personally answer every comment or question that relates to GTA real estate. Outside of the GTA, especially outside of Ontario, frankly, I'm not the best person to answer your questions. A realtor more familiar with issues in your local market would be a much better resource for you. You're welcome to email me through my website, and I will get back to you personally if you have any questions. Thank you for watching. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a like below and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos from realhelpfulrealestate.com. Have a great day.